Hey, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on this super important webinar training on being omnipresent where it matters. Today, we are talking about how to achieve omnipresence on a small budget. I know it sounds super challenging, right? But I think you're going to be really intrigued. It's a strategy that involves neighborhood dominance, and it's very strategic and specific. We're also going to be talking about ghost leads, kind of a new lead source. And we're really just going to discuss untapped opportunities to get more out of every lead. We all know leads are expensive, so you just want to maximize your return on investment. And I'd love for you to have three specific items to implement into your business so that you can get more out of your leads. So that is a tall task that is filled with some great content there. I think you're getting a lot out of this. You won't get a lot out of it if you're distracted and you're trying to run your business and, putting out fires. So if there's any way that you could kind of shut down those disturbances and focus, I think you're going to get a lot out of this. Quick background about me. I've been in this space, basement waterproofing, for almost 3 decades. Let's see, podcast I have, Rainmaker for Contractors. I wrote a book on internet marketing, been involved with the Basement Health Association for, I don't know, 12 to 14 years. We've won some awards from Google. And probably the most important thing is we focus on serving basement waterproofing clients. And our whole team is focused on that. And we think that we're getting good at it year after year. Little bonus for you, if you stay till the end, I am happy to offer my coaching services. I'll give you 30 minutes and we'll just talk about how to implement this omnipresence into your business so that you can get more out of your leads. I won't try to sell you anything. It's just all going to be about just trying to help you get better. All right. So let me start with a question here. And that is, what is the real reason for buying leads or spending money on marketing? Think about that question for a second. Why do you spend money on buying leads and spending money on marketing? Typically, the common answer is, well, I want a lead so I can sell a deal, right? And if you take that further, it's like, well, yeah, to sell it so that I can install it profitably and get the money out of it because there's good money to be made in basement waterproofing. All right, so just keep that in mind. That's the common answer. I want a lead so I could sell it. And I want to sell it to install a job in a profitable way to make money off of it. Here's another question. What are you willing to spend to acquire a new customer? Now, that answer is going to vary. And we'll say I talked to someone a couple days ago, smaller, smaller waterproofing contractor, kind of newer in the business, and most of his leads have come from referrals or realtors. And I noticed that he wasn't spending any money on local service ads, and we were just exploring different steps that he could take. And I did mention to him, typically we've seen people pay $200 to $250 a lead on the Google Guaranteed LSA platform. And he's like, man, 200, 250, that's a lot of money for a lead. It is when most of your leads have been free and they're mostly referrals. Now, we've all been there, maybe when we started, but that typically comes from someone that, you know, is definitely doing under 1 million a year. We all know if you want to really grow your company, you've got to have additional lead sources, and sometimes you have to spend money to get them, right? So I'll be curious what your thought process is as this training develops. But if you could write a number down and say, what would you be willing to spend for a lead? That would be good to review that. So this topic has often been kicked around amongst basement waterproofing companies. And it's always like, man, we've seen these private equity firms come in and they're buying waterproofers and they're just spending money like crazy. I see their ads everywhere. And I know you've been part of these conversations. Most every basement waterproofer have. And it's like, how are they doing that? Like, what is going on? Part of it is they want a bigger portfolio and they want to show that these companies are growing and you get a bigger EBITDA return if you sell. Now, I don't know, what anyone's intentions are, but truth of the matter is when you're selling a portfolio of businesses and you have more of them, you're going to get a greater return on investment or greater purchase price. That's just how it works. But the other thing is bigger companies, generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, they can have some pretty good playbooks. A playbook is basically how a job gets run, what the employees do, what the procedures that they follow, and their training and so on. So some companies are able to get more out of a job because they have better playbooks, because their employees are better trained to do things that support the company. And we're going to explore some of those things in relation to marketing. And there are no magic pills. I say this a lot about internet marketing. I say, rarely ever can I say, like, oh, I know why you're not getting leads. I can change everything for you. There's this one big thing. Rarely ever can I do that. It's just hundreds of little things that you got to pay attention to and you have to build upon. And over time, your boat starts to go out into the wind and your sails catch, and pretty soon you're in the middle of the lake. And that's how internet marketing works. And that's how systems work. And that's how you're growing and scaling. When things happen, a lot of contractors are putting out fires. And there's always two things when there's a fire. One is you have to deal with the immediate situation. And then two is you have to create a system so that never happens again. And the ones that are better at creating systems, they can scale and grow faster. The ones that can implement faster tend to grow faster. It's just how it works. So, what I want to talk about is being omnipresent where it matters, and that is in the neighborhood. So, this is all about neighborhood dominance. We don't want to waste time fishing in lakes where there's no fish or they're just not biting. And that's what the larger companies tend to do. They like to just blanket entire cities and just throw their money everywhere. What I want to focus on is spending your time and energy and money in places where it matters, and that's where the fish are already biting. This is what typically happens. This is the playbook that happens way too many times. And when I was just getting into internet marketing like 14 years ago, I was studying all the data, and it used to drive me nuts because I saw the keywords that people were typing that would bring them to my website. And I was shocked at the amount of people that would go to the website that had a waterproofing problem. I could tell by the term that they typed in, and they didn't raise their hand. They didn't call or fill out a web form or do anything to acknowledge that we were a company that could help them with their problem. And that's still, in the majority of cases, probably 90% of the time, potential customer, they type something in, waterproofing contractor, basement waterproofing, my basement leaks, whatever. Hopefully your website gets found. They go to your website, they look around. What else is there? There's 20 other waterproofers in any city. Sometimes there's 50. So they're kicking tires, they're jumping around. That's typically the playbook. Wouldn't it be great to leverage even this little game plan in a more effective way? Let's run another game plan. Hopefully this happens. Potential customer, they type in some keywords that relate to the industry. They see your website. They book an appointment. Sales rep goes out there, and hopefully the sales rep sells it, and you have a happy customer and maybe even get a review. Now we know in, less than half the cases, yeah, the rep will sell, like, let's say 1 out of 3, but 2 out of 3, they're not going to sell. That's just how it is. Wouldn't it be great to get more out of this game plan, even if the rep sold? How would we do that? There's a much smarter way to work. In fact, there's a way better way to work. And that's what we're going to talk about. So, how do we get more out of everything? Whether they went to your website and left, didn't raise their hand, whether the customer booked a lead with you and you ran it and didn't sell it, or you sold it and you installed the job properly. How do we get more out of all three of those situations? We need to unleash hidden sales opportunities for every single prospect and customer. And we need to build a larger than life appearance online and in the neighborhood, like I mentioned before, where it matters. So, here's another question before we jump in. How many sales opportunities are hiding inside a customer's experience? This is a question that we should answer towards the end because I think you're going to see a lot more opportunities than you think there are. Now, isn't sales just a numbers game? So, if you're a batter, if you got additional pitches, wouldn't you have a greater chance to actually hit one of those pitches? Sales is similar. So, if we can get more out of every single situation, we're going to create more opportunities for our sales reps so that they can sell more. And that's what this is about. Sales opportunities. And so often they get missed. All right. So here's the first one. Now, I know some of you do this, but I really think most contractors don't do this, or they ran out of signs, and they didn't order new ones, and they're like, I don't want to pay the extra expense. But you need to have a sign in the yard on every single job. It just needs to be part of your playbook. It has to be part of your systems. Make it, put a QR code on there, put a call to action. Don't make it too busy. Make it attractive. Have your logo on there. And you want that logo so that every time they see your company, it's the same exact logo because we're going to be showing your logo in lots of different places. So the first one, use a sign in the yard. In fact, I spoke with someone yesterday and he said, all of my sales reps have to put a sign in the yard on every single inspection, not job, but inspection. Now, if you're not doing a sign in the yard on a job, at least start in the job. And I'm going to touch on that in a little bit more. I'm going to come back to that one. All right. The second thing that I'm recommending to get more out of every single situation is when you sell a job, you need to go to 5 houses on the left, 5 houses on the right, and 10 houses across the street with the letter, which is gonna explain that you're in the area and you're doing work, and if you're too loud or if the vehicles are in the way or if there's any debris, please let us know. We want everyone to be happy, and we're also since we're in the area, we're offering free foundation inspections. Many of the houses were built in the same time and experienced similar problems. And you list out the problems, cracks, seepage, bugs, et cetera, et cetera. If you'd like a free inspection, please give us a call. Now, I did say letter, not a shiny, glossy, professional looking door knocker. What do you do when you get one of those door knockers? You look at it and you throw it right in the garbage. If it's a letter and you have to open it, you're like, who is this? What do they want? You have to read it to figure out who it is. The two questions that come to mind is, who wrote this and what do they want? So they're reading it more because it's a letter. And then I'd say put that letter in a spot where when they open the door, they're going to pull that letter before they open the door because it's going to fall on the ground. So how long would it take to hit 5 houses to the left, to the right, and across the street? It wouldn't take that long. And if you could pick up a lead, we know leads are expensive. It's well worth it. All right. Most of you know what Nextdoor ads are. It's a social platform. If you don't know it, talk to your wife. She probably knows it. My wife is on Nextdoor just about every single day and has been for 2 or 3 years. It's kind of like what's happening in the neighborhood. Well, Nextdoor is growing and you can run ads on Nextdoor and you could narrow it down just to zip code. So what I would say for this is just put the zip code in and run that ad a few days before you start a job and run that ad at least for a week after you finish that job. So next door is another layer that we're adding on to create your neighborhood dominance. All right, the list is getting bigger. Facebook and Instagram, great way to show your ad. It's another layer. and you could zero in on a 1 mile radius. So what you do is you put in the address of the house and then you say, hey, Facebook, Instagram, I only want to show my ads within a 1 mile radius. So now there's another layer that they're seeing. So they drive home, they see a sign in the yard, they walk their dog, see the same sign again. Neighbors are nosy. They're looking up the company. What kind of work are they getting done? There's a letter on the door when they get home. They see it on next door. They see it. They're checking out the news or sports and they see your ad. It's starting to build. We're starting to create neighborhood dominance. And right now, we haven't spent much money at all. Sign in the yard, what are those? $4.50. Letter on the door, that's the 10 minutes it takes to hit the doors. And a piece of paper. Next door ads, you're selling and you're buying impressions, same thing with Facebook. So we're not spending much money. So hopefully you are in the local pack in the top three. So when they're checking you out or checking out the industry, you're going to be visible in the top three. Now, typically, it's very easy to rank when you're trying to rank in your hometown or in within like one town next door. It's difficult to rank outside of that area unless you're working with an agency that knows how to get you to rank outside of your immediate town and the two or three towns around you, assuming you're in the, crowded suburbs like most people are. All right. How are we getting something out of more out of everything? You need to get a customer view. And I got to tell you, in the last 12 months, with the many companies that I interact with, I've seen more companies finally start to get customer views on a regular basis than I've ever seen. And I've been preaching this for at least 12 years, just how important customer reviews are. But the past year, I think most everyone is getting it. I'm just going to add that you need to get more. And just because you got like 2 last month or something, like, don't be happy with that. Like, try to get a review on every single job. You're not gonna get a review on every single job, but try to get it. Try to figure it out. Again, create that culture at your company that you're getting customer reviews all the time. Incentivize employees, acknowledge it. All right, do you have a referral program? Now, most people don't give referrals, um, and most companies don't have a referral program. But it sure makes a whole lot of sense to me to have one and to incentivize your customers to refer you. If you've been around a while, you have some customers that refer you, and oftentimes it's a handful or it's 10 people that just keep referring you, even though you've told 1,000 people about your referral program. It's like these handful of people. And I would say it's just part of your sales pitch and it's part of how the foreman closes a job. It's part of the follow-up. It's on your website. You just gotta have a referral program. And what would you pay for a referral lead? Typically, people would pay a lot of money for a referral lead. If you study referrals, there's something interesting about referral leads. They're the highest closing percentage. They also have the highest average sale, and they also tend to be installed the easiest because there's more trust that came with the referral. Now, who doesn't want to sell leads with a higher average sale and a higher closing percentage? People would pay for those leads all the time. I know companies that they'd give $500 as an incentive for a referral lead. I mean, that's a good place to start. And just put some qualifications on there, must have a minimum amount of dollars spent and then, whatever your minimum qualifications are. But you need to have a referral program. All right. It's getting better. The list is getting longer and we're not spending a lot of money right now. So remarketing off of a website visit. Now, I mentioned something called ghost leads. What is a ghost lead? There are services now that can give you with about 80% accuracy the name, sometimes 2 phone numbers, sometimes 2 email addresses of the people that went to visit your website. And how they do that is they're identifying the IP address. And from there, they run it through lots of different software. And within an hour or two, you can identify all that information. That's a lot. With that information, you can send emails, and I'm gonna go back here. Now I got ahead of myself a little bit, but referral marketing, yes, you could run the strategy, what I call the ghost leads, but you could also run commonly known as the Facebook pixel. You could tell Facebook and Instagram to find them on their platforms. You could tell Google to find them on the Google partners. I mean, Google's even targeting Gmail accounts with ads. So remarketing off of a web visit. Now that web visit might be from the sign in the yard. Maybe someone got a letter and they're being nosy and they want to know what company the Joneses down the street hired or what work they're getting done. So this is again an inexpensive way to market. Canvassing. Some of our clients canvas on a regular basis and they do it quite well. Most people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not getting into that." I totally get it. I ran a canvassing department. It's a lot. But you could also look at canvassing as I in this letter on the door, you're you can have 1 or 2 people that are kinda good at it on the cruise. They could knock on the door, and that is canvassing. And that conversation looks like, "Hi, we're doing some work down the street. If we're making too much noise, I just wanna give you some information. We don't want any complaints. If you see any debris, please let us know. We don't wanna be an inconvenience to you, whether our trucks are in the way or anything. Here's the information. Since we're in the area, we're doing free foundation inspections. A lot of homes have similar issues. They were built around the same time. Do you have any kind of issues after heavy rains with water seepage and cracks?" And from there, you can kinda take it as far as you want to. But that's canvassing. That's what canvassing is. Now you can do that before or you can do it after. It's up to you. But there's an opportunity for you. All right, direct mail. It is a ghost lead play in that people's address can be identified after they visited your website. And there are companies that you can kick out a postcard with a QR code and an offer just because they went to your website. Or you could send them direct mail yourself. So, direct mail is just another way to create neighborhood dominance and to get your name out there. Email from a web visit, kind of the same ghost lead strategy. You identify their email address, you kick off a short term and a long term nurture sequence. Just another way to get a lot out of a little. So you can make a video reel. Video reels are kind of the new up and coming strategy for marketing. There's 5 major platforms. I don't need to tell you about these things. So many of us are hooked on these little reels. They identify the algorithm and they watch what we're paying attention to and they feed us more of this stuff. You guys know how that works. So if you can get a video reel out of a job that you're doing, that would be awesome. Just 60 seconds or less. Now you have something for your website, you have something for social media, and then a case study. Now, I used to think a case study, oh my gosh, I did that stuff in college. What are you talking about? That sounds, I'm not writing, a paper on this job or something. Think of a case study like this. It's a before shot, it's an after shot, and there's 3 very short paragraphs. The paragraphs might sound something like, the Joneses were using their basement for fill in the blank, an office, a playroom, storage, workout room, whatever it is. After a heavy rain, they experienced some water seepage, something got ruined. Um, we inspected their basement, we identified the problem areas, we installed our drain tile system with our high efficiency sump pump with the backup system, and now the Joneses can use their basement and they have the peace of mind that it's healthy and dry, and now the kids can play in the playroom. There's your case study. That is great material for a website and social media, actually. If you can include the neighborhood and the street, those kind of things help with local SEO as well. So that is a whole bunch of stuff. I shared a lot of different strategies. I doubt anyone is doing all of these. Now, I want to mention one more thing. Some companies will do this. It could be a sales strategy or it could just be, a win win. you're trying to sell this thing, you're trying to close, and you're looking for a way to justify a discount, and they're asking you, "Can you do any better on that price?" And you could offer them, if they are willing to put a sign in the yard for 30 days, if you can get a case study and video reel out of this, and you have their permission to post on the website and social media, then you could save them whatever you want to save them, $500, if they'd be willing to do that. Now, that's a way to justify a discount. I'm helping you out by discounting, and then you're helping us by advertising because advertising is very expensive, and we just want to get the word out of our company. I was sharing this with a colleague actually, and earlier today, and he said, "Man, I love the sign in the yard thing." He said, "I don't think you even need to offer a discount for the sign in the yard." He said, "We got some work done. They just put a sign in the yard, and we just left it there. And it's been about a week or 2 weeks or something like that." And he said, "So many neighbors have seen that sign in the yard. There's now 5 signs from the same company, and they all are getting the same work done." So that works. And I explained to him, "Yeah, I get it. I'm just kind of looking to justify a discount. I'm using it as a sales strategy to discount, and it creates a win-win. They feel like they got something and they gave something as well." So that's a lot. So this strategy, what it does is it supports paying more upfront for a lead, knowing that you have your systems in place to maximize the return for that investment. If we went all the way back to say, like, how much are you willing to spend for a lead? I think you'd be willing to spend more if you had this playbook and you ran even half of it and you saw that one lead can turn into 2 or 3 leads, maybe 4 and 5 leads by doing this strategy. I think everyone would be willing to pay more for a lead if they had this plan in place. What I'd love for you to do now is I'm going to go back to this list, and I'd love for you to write down at least 3 strategies that you would love to implement. I am passionate about helping companies grow and be successful. It's not just about getting more leads, it's really about implementing these kind of systems so that your company can grow and scale and be more efficient. And one of the things I've learned is the faster you can implement, the faster you're going to grow. Ideas are cool and to learn new strategies, that's all good and that's all cool, but it's all about implementing. How fast can you implement this into your culture so that there's new habits, new routines, and new systems, and that you're just creating a culture so that everyone knows what the playbook is at your company. And you have the peace of mind that it's run that way. So I'd love for you to identify 3 things and implement them as fast as you can. And then don't just start it up, but keep at it and work at it and get the results so that you're getting more out of every single lead. Now, if you're interested in more pay to play online advertising, I find myself having this conversation with people quite often. There's Google ads, there's local service ads, or Google guaranteed, some call it. There's Angie, there's local SEO, and there's Facebook ads. Those are the common kind of pay to play type advertising. I'm not referring to traditional, you know, TV, radio, billboard kind of stuff. You made it this far through the webinar training. Congratulations. I would love to offer you a 30-minute coaching call where we could just talk about how to implement this, how to get it going, and how to make it work for you. Happy to do that. Contact me if you're interested in talking about that. If you are considering working with an agency or switching agencies and you'd like to know what we have to say, we will do an in-depth analysis of where you're at, explore opportunities that you have. We can show you work that we've done. Please let me know if you're interested in that as well. Our numbers here. I want to thank you so much for joining us.